All right, this is lesson 1-6, order of operations. What is the order of operations? The order of operations is the order and how we operate, basically. So when we are evaluating something, we need to make sure we remember this. Evaluating means to find the answer. So we should have heard of PEMDAS before. The P is parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. So let's talk about what each of those means. The P, I said parentheses, and that's probably how you know it, but I really need you to think of it as the grouping symbols. So here are some examples of grouping symbols. You have parentheses, pretty common. You have braces and brackets. Braces and brackets. These are used when you have a group within a group, as you see down here in this example. You have a parentheses, but then you have the bracket outside of the parentheses. You could also use parentheses in both situations, but you'll often see it this way. And then fraction bars are also a form of a grouping symbol. We'll talk about what that looks like. So if an expression contains more than one set of grouping symbols, simplify the expression inside the innermost set first. The innermost set first. So we'll see that in this second example. Okay, so that's P for grouping symbols. Then you have your E for exponents. Then you have MD, multiply, divide, from left to right. So if there's a division before the multiplication, then you do that first. And then you add, subtract in the same way from left to right. So let's look at this example here. We don't have any grouping symbols, so the next thing we need to look for is exponents. Now this here, we talked about this already. This 4 is the only thing that's being squared. The negative is not being squared. So this is the same as negative 4 squared. Okay? Plus 24 divided by 3 times 2. So we're going to simplify this first. So this is going to be negative 16, and I'm just going to rewrite everything else. Okay, so we have no more grouping symbols. We don't have exponents, so now we need to look at multiplication, division. Okay, this right here is addition. This is division and then multiplication. So we're going to do this first. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so negative 16 plus 8 times 2. Now we're going to do this. 8 times 2 is 16. Negative 16 plus 16. All we have left is one operation, addition. Negative 16 plus 16 is 0. That is your final answer. Now again, this is evaluating. Okay, this is evaluating. We are not solving. We're going to talk about that later, but this is evaluating, and this is when you use PEMDAS. All right, let's look at this next example. It says 4 bracket 25 minus parentheses 5 minus 2 parentheses squared bracket. All right, so we need to start in the inside. So we're going to keep our bracket, not mess with that yet. So what is 5 minus 2? 5 minus 2 is 3. I'm going to keep it in parentheses for right now. I have to square that. Okay? So within this bracket, we need to follow order of operations also. So that means I need to square this first. Okay? I need to square this first. So I'm going to do 4 bracket 25 minus 9. Now the parentheses are gone because I've done 3 squared already and I got 9. Okay, so now we'll do 4 bracket, what's 25 minus 9? 25 minus 9, so 25 minus 10 is 15. So we add 1 to that, we get 16. Now, when you have a number in front of parentheses or a bracket, something like this, that means multiply. Okay, you need to understand that. That's something that's understood. We're not going to put a multiplication sign here. It's not necessary. So 4 times 16 is 24, 64. Some of you probably knew that without having to do the math, which is great. Okay, so that's how you simplify that. All right, 2 more examples. Negative 22 minus 2 squared over 5 minus 3. Remember I said the fraction bar is a grouping symbol. So that's the only grouping symbol we have. So you can kind of think of it as the numerator in parentheses and the denominator in parentheses. You don't have to write it that way, but it's one way to think about it. So negative 22 minus 4. Again, the squared is only for the 2. So we're still going to have the minus sign there. Over 2. So I did the math on top and I did the math on bottom, and now I can simplify. Let me still simplify the math on top. Negative 22 minus 4 is negative 26 over 2, which is negative 13. Remember, negative divided by a positive is a negative. Here we have absolute value symbol. Okay, that's what these bars mean, absolute value. The absolute value is the distance on the number line between 0 and that number. So the absolute value will always be positive. So 10 minus 5 squared is going to be 10 minus 25. We want the absolute value of that divided by 5. Again, this is a grouping symbol, so we need to do that still. We need to simplify this. 10 minus 25 is negative 15. I want the absolute value of that, and then divide by 5. So the absolute value of negative 15 is 15, divided by 5 is 3. So that's how you do order of operations. This is your practice problems, and I will make sure these get posted on the Google Drive for those of you that don't have access to your textbook. Remember, you need to do the even problems. If you're having trouble, please do the odd problems and check your answers in the back of the book, or if you're using the online version, just find that on the online version.